You spray the aphids the moment you spot them, cover every leaf, and figure the problem is handled. A week later, there are more aphids than before, and now your tomato leaves are curling on top of it. That soap spray did not just kill the aphids sitting on your plant. It killed every ladybug, larva, and lacewing that would have eaten the next 3 generations of aphids for you. For free. You cleared the battlefield of the one side that was actually winning. Here is what to do instead, starting with the very next pest problem you see. Before you reach for anything, check the population. A few aphids clustered on new growth is not an emergency. It is lunch for a ladybug that has not shown up yet. Leave that first colony alone for 4 or 5 days. If you already sprayed something broad spectrum this season, hold off on reapplying and instead plant a strip of dill or alyssum near that bed. Those flowers pull in the exact insects that turn a minor aphid problem into a non-issue on their own. A grower sees 10 aphids and assumes 10 aphids means disaster tomorrow, so they treat it like a fire that needs putting out right now. But an aphid colony without predators around is a slow, steady problem. An aphid colony with ladybugs nearby collapses in days without you touching a bottle. The plant is not signaling an emergency. It is signaling that the second half of the story has not shown up yet. Caterpillars work on a completely different logic, and if you use the aphid approach on them, you will lose the season. You find one hornworm, squash it, feel good about yourself, and move on. Then 3 days later, half your top growth is gone, because that one hornworm you found was the one you happened to see, not the one that was there. Tomato hornworms blend into the stem color almost perfectly, and a single female moth lays dozens of eggs across a planting before you ever spot the first larva. The fix here is not more vigilance on your part. It is Bt, a naturally occurring soil bacterium sold as a spray that only affects caterpillar digestive systems and leaves bees, ladybugs, and every other beneficial insect completely alone. Apply it in the evening, coat the undersides of leaves where larvae actually feed, and you are done for a week. You do not need to find every hornworm. You need the population eating your leaves to stop being able to digest anything, and that happens whether you spotted them or not. Spider mites are where most gardeners make the opposite mistake of the aphid situation. They see fine webbing and stippled bronze-colored leaves and assume it is some kind of fungus because that is what leaf damage usually means on a tomato plant. So they reach for a fungicide, which does nothing to a mite, and the plant keeps declining while the actual cause multiplies untouched. Mites thrive in exactly one condition: hot, dry air with no humidity to speak of, which is why late June and early July are peak mite weeks no matter how healthy your plants look otherwise. The fix is almost insultingly simple. A strong blast of water on the undersides of the leaves, done every few days during a hot, dry stretch, physically knocks mites off the plant and disrupts their webs faster than any spray can. If the infestation has already taken hold, insecticidal soap made from 1 teaspoon of mild dish soap per quart of water, sprayed directly on the mites in the early morning or evening, breaks down their outer coating. Never spray it at midday. That is the same mistake as watering tomatoes in full sun, and it will scorch the leaves before it ever touches the mites. Whiteflies get treated like a lost cause by most people because the second you brush the plant, a cloud of them lifts off and scatters, and it feels like there is no way to actually catch them. That is the wrong target. You are not supposed to catch the adults in the air. You are supposed to break the cycle underneath, on the leaves where the nymphs are actually feeding and where they cannot fly away from anything. Neem oil is the tool here, but only if you get the ratio and timing right, because too many gardeners dump it on at full strength midday and burn the exact leaves they were trying to save. Mix about 2 tablespoons of neem oil with a teaspoon of mild liquid soap as an emulsifier into a gallon of water and apply it at dusk, after the bees and other pollinators have already gone home for the day. The oil coats the nymphs and disrupts their ability to molt into the next stage. It will not touch the adult cloud you see scattering, and that is fine. You are cutting off next week's population, not chasing this week's. Slugs do not belong in the same category as any of the above, because they are not insects and nothing above touches them. You will find ragged holes in lower leaves and a shiny trail on the soil in the morning, and the instinct is to treat it like another pest problem needing another spray. Spraying does nothing here. Diatomaceous earth, a fine powder made from fossilized algae, works purely by mechanical damage. Sprinkle a ring of it around the base of affected plants, and it shreds the soft underside of any slug that crosses it. The catch is that it stops working the moment it gets wet. So reapply after every rain or heavy watering, and keep it away from open flowers where bees might pick it up on their legs. There is one place where everything above gets it backward, and it catches even gardeners who have already switched to organic methods. Ladybugs are supposed to be the good guys, so when someone sees ladybug larvae crawling on a damaged leaf, the assumption is that the larvae are the pest doing the damage. They look nothing like the adult beetle. Ladybug larvae are small, dark, and alligator-shaped, with orange markings, and they get squashed or sprayed by well-meaning gardeners who think they found the culprit. That single mistake can undo weeks of attracting beneficial insects to a bed, because you just killed the next generation of your own pest control by hand. The rule to hold on to here is simple. Before treating anything crawling on a damaged leaf, look for legs and shape before you look for damage. A pest caused the hole in the leaf. A predator showing up on that same leaf a day or two later is not the cause. It is the cleanup crew arriving on schedule. If what you are looking at has an elongated, segmented body and is moving toward the pest colony rather than away from it, leave it alone and let it work. None of this explains why one tomato plant 3 feet away from an identical one gets hit hard while its neighbor stays clean. And that answer has nothing to do with any spray. Pests are not choosing plants at random. Aphids and mites are drawn to a specific chemical signal that stressed plants release through their leaves. A distress compound that basically advertises weakness to anything hungry nearby. A tomato plant that went through a dry spell last week, or one that got soaked at noon in full sun and scorched its own leaves, is putting off that signal right now even if it looks fine to you. This is why the plant you watered incorrectly earlier this season keeps drawing pests back no matter how many times you treat it. You are treating the symptom on a plant that is still broadcasting the underlying weakness. Deep, even watering at the base in the early morning, consistent spacing so air actually moves between plants, and mulch to keep root temperature stable are not separate gardening tips anymore once you see this. They are pest prevention, upstream of every spray or bug you have just read about. A plant that never gets stressed in the first place gives off none of that signal. And the pests that would have found it end up somewhere else instead. You are trained to see a pest and reach for a general answer, one bottle that handles everything. But every pest on your tomato plant is exploiting a different weakness, in a different part of the plant, on a different schedule. The gardeners who stop losing plants to this are not the ones who spray more often. They are the ones who stop treating 5 different problems as if they were the same problem wearing different disguises. Walk your tomato bed today and actually identify what you are looking at before you reach for anything. Curling leaves with clusters underneath are not the same emergency as stippled bronze leaves. And neither of those is the same emergency as ragged holes with a slime trail. Tell me in the comments which one you are dealing with right now, because the fix is already sitting right here in this video, waiting on the right diagnosis.